So why is President Biden asking for taxpayer money to prop up the World Bank? Joining us now is David Malpass. He is former president of the World Bank Group. David, great to see you. You know, full disclosure, you and I have known each other for a long time, for about 30 years. We've been covering the developing world, which the World Bank's, I would say it's fair to say that their primary concern is the developing world, right? Is money really the bottom line of what they need?
The situation is really difficult in the developing countries. And so as you think about it, what they need most is policies that can really promote growth in their countries. And so if loans can help, that might be worth it. The question is, how do you make them effective? How do you really get good outcomes for people? In the Reagan administration, so in 84, 85, 86, I was involved in, as Reagan thought about it, grants can really make a difference if they encourage a country in the right direction. So one of the things is how
so as a prod, as a kind of a prod,
and as an inducement, a carrot and a.
But let me just be absolutely blunt here, because I was working for the Wall Street Journal for 12 years. I followed the money in these countries, in Latin America, in parts of Eastern Europe, et cetera. So often, the sticky fingers of corrupt leaders ended up with that money in their pockets or in Swiss bank accounts. And that's why you have to be so careful. A lot of these international bankers didn't seem to realize it, or, forgive me, I'm not implying you would, but they might have been a part of the whole scheme. I mean, how do you get around that tendency for the money not to go to the people it's meant for?
You try to have an actual measurement of the outcomes in terms of, does it benefit median income? Does it help the country and the people actually get access to food, to fertilizer, to energy, the things that farmers need to grow crops? And and that gets you straight into grants. How do you get enough concessional aid in order to really make a difference? And it's true, the World Bank can do that, but think of the size. We're talking about problems where you need hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. The U.S. is the biggest contributor to the World Bank, which I welcomed and appreciated, but it's $1 billion per year. And so you're measuring that against the population growth in the developing countries. It's very hard to really have enough impact on that. You need the private sector, you need the countries themselves to be fully engaged. And I think you need a better environment, more growth in the advanced economies. One of the big things that helps developing countries is when there's fast growth in the whole world.
And the high interest rates aren't helping at all, right?
That's right, because a lot of the developing countries borrowed at floating rates, including from China. So this creates a big challenge for them, because so much of their money, of the earned money of the farmers, is going out to pay loans that they took out years ago.
You know, quickly, there's another problem for farmers, which is that they can't get their hands on fertilizer. The developed nations are so hungry for fertilizer for the big corporate farms that there's not much left over for developing countries, is there? And of course, fertilizer, we should mention, comes from natural gas, which is becoming depleted by a lot of green energy programs.
So, and this is something that I'm afraid is going to go on for some years in the developing world, because they've under-fertilized last year and this year, and so that means the crop yields going forward are down. Fields need to be tended and used, and that's been diverted because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So you end up with less natural gas in Europe. They buy it up from developing countries, and there's not enough being produced, frankly, in the world as a whole.
Are we looking at starvation, mass starvation?
There's already malnutrition. One of the things is people's caloric intake and their protein intake was already going down 6 months and a year ago because of this specific problem. So that means, as it gets worse, it gets into famine situations in certain pockets. But the bigger problem, I think, is stunting for children. You know, that's when they don't get enough protein when they're young. And so I think that, combined with all the other needs that the countries are expected to meet, that gets into education, climate costs, and the whole array. There's not enough money, and it'd be good if the advanced economies could put more in. That's where I get to this concessional aid. But that's not going to solve the problem. The problem has to be solved, I think, through more growth by everybody and better policies to get to the growth.
Growth is the solution. In developing and developed countries, growth is the solution. David Malpass, thank you very much.